Hello and welcome to CSBC Live. This is an episode in a bi-monthly series that aims to engage each and every one of our community members through celebration, education, mindfulness, and fun. If there's something that you'd like to share or something you'd like to learn or that you're curious about, you can reach out and we'll do our best to include your topics in the upcoming episodes. So if you'd like to contribute any videos or audio clips, you can email me at mbazil@congdonstreet.org or just leave a comment on this video and we'll get back to you and reach out to you. So today we have for you a wellness moment, which is going to be an adapted meditation, and we also have a conversation between Dr. Katrina Byrd and Pastor Justin regarding the new vaccine that will help protect against COVID-19. So this practice is called the self-compassion break, and it's something you can do anytime during the day or at night when you need a little self-compassion. So to practice this exercise, we actually need to call up a little suffering, so I'd invite you to think about a situation in your life right now that's difficult for you, and maybe you're feeling stressed or you're having a relationship problem, or you're worried about something that might happen. I'd invite you to think of something that's difficult but not overwhelmingly difficult, especially if you're new to practicing the self-compassion break. So finding a situation and getting in touch with it, what's going on, what happened or what might happen, who said what, really bring the situation to life in your mind's eye. And I'm going to be saying a series of phrases that are designed to help us remember the three components of self-compassion. So the first phrase is, this is a moment of suffering. We're bringing mindful awareness to the fact that suffering is present, and I'd invite you to find some language that speaks to you. Something like, this is really hard right now, or I'm really struggling. We're actually turning toward our difficulty, acknowledging it, and naming it. The second phrase is, suffering is a part of life. We're reminding ourselves of our common humanity. Suffering is a part of life. And again, finding language that speaks to you. It may be something like, it's not abnormal to feel this way. Many people are going through similar situations. The degree of suffering may be different, the flavor of suffering may be different, but suffering is a part of life, part of being human. And then the third phrase is, may I be kind to myself in this moment. And to support bringing kindness to yourself, I'd invite you to perhaps put your hands over your heart or some other place on your body that feels soothing and comforting, feeling the warmth of your hands, the gentle touch, letting those feelings of care stream through your fingers. May I be kind to myself. And using any language that supports that sense of kindness, perhaps the language you would use with a good friend you cared about who was going through a very similar situation. It may be something like, I'm here for you, it's going to be okay, I care about you. Or you can try calling yourself by your first name, anything that feels natural to express your deep wish that you be well and happy and free from suffering. And then practice letting go of that practice, noticing how your body feels right now, allowing any sensations to be just as they are, and allowing yourself to be.
Well, hey everyone, Pastor Justin here. I'm here with Dr. Byrd. Hey, Dr. Byrd.
Hey.
Once again, as you guys know, if Katrina's here, then we're going to once again dive into real talk behind COVID vaccine. I should have like a series like Real Talk with Katrina and all of that. But anyway, like when Katrina comes in, and she's been so awesome and available throughout this whole season of coronavirus, from assisting and like leading in terms of shutting down our church, reopening it, what it looks like, and all of that. Now the vaccine is here and it's in Rhode Island, and I wanted to come and really talk to Dr. Byrd about exactly what's going on with it, where is it, what are things we need to know about it, and if I drank red Kool-Aid as a kid, do I need to take the corona vaccine? The answer is going to be yes. But
Yes.
Let's jump right in. Let's jump right into this, Katrina. What are some things about, I know there's the Pfizer vaccine, the Moderna vaccine. If you had to sum it down to like 2 or 3 minutes of things people need to know about the vaccine in Rhode Island, what do they need to know?
Okay, so first let's just back it up and talk a little bit about what is the vaccine.
Okay.
So the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines are mRNA based vaccines. So what does that mean? So in our body, we have many proteins, but how do we make these proteins? One thing that's important to make proteins is mRNA, messenger ribonucleic acid. So this mRNA, basically in the lab, they looked at the coronavirus and they said, okay, what can we create a vaccine against? What structure on the coronavirus is unique to this particular virus that's causing so much disease? And the thing that they identified was the spike protein.
Mm.
So they said, okay, how can I enable the body to create an immune response to this spike protein so that I can protect people. So what they did was they were like a spike is a protein, remember? And so one thing you need to make proteins is mRNA. So they created a piece of mRNA. I'm not going to go into the actual detail of like what exactly what they did, but they created a piece of mRNA that they were able to put it in this lipid membrane and create a vaccine. So a couple good things about mRNA. So it's on one hand, it doesn't incorporate into our body's genetic material. So one thing people are very nervous about is, oh, well, if I get the vaccine, it's going to be in my body for the rest of my life. It's going to incorporate into my genetic material. And that is not true.
Mm.
The other thing is it's pretty unstable. So usually if you put naked mRNA into the body, other proteins or enzymes called RNases will break these things down. So that's why, and it's just very unstable. So that's why these vaccines require extremely low temperatures
Hmm.
in order for them to be transported and stored.
Got it.
So these are the similarities between the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccine. So they also require 2-shot series because they do a lot of preliminary studies. They didn't just say, oh, make up a dose or make up how
Hmm.
many
Hmm.
shots that you need. You need the 2 shots to be fully protected and get that over 90% protection rate.
Hmm.
So those are the few things that I wanted you to know in general about the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines. They're actually very similar.
Got it.
And so it's good that we have access to two different types of vaccines at this point.
No, that's great. Thank you, Katrina. Like, so with that, with those two different vaccines, where are they in Rhode Island? Like I recently I saw a paper. I know I saw healthcare workers were getting it. I saw teachers were. I saw Central Falls was. So before I make up a story about it's going to be in my backyard tomorrow, where is it and what phase? What I know there's phases. So what do those phases look like?
Yes, so we're in phase one. So we started 1A.
Mhm.
So specifically, the Rhode Island Department of Health has been figuring out a distribution plan for months. So I don't want anyone to think that they just
Mhm.
made this up. There's
Mhm.
a COVID-19 advisory committee that
Mhm.
was formed several weeks ago, and they've been figuring out a distribution plan. Actually, a plan had to be submitted to the CDC before we were allocated doses.
Well.
So that's number one. So the to specifically answer your question, the vaccine initially went out to healthcare workers and healthcare systems. So specifically Lifespan, Care New England, just to
Mhm.
name a few organizations. So
Mhm.
within that organization, they were offering to frontline workers. Specifically, I can say for Lifespan, it's been nurses, it's been physicians, and from a lifespan standpoint, they're going to vaccinate everyone who would like the vaccine
Got it.
as soon as they're able to.
Got it.
So that was like the first week. I
Mhm.
was fortunate enough to be one of those people who were vaccinated, and we had access to the Pfizer vaccine. Then subsequently, the people, high risk patients in ACI, because
Mm-hmm.
that was a thing. I've been talking to communities. People are
Mm-hmm.
very worried about loved ones who are
Mm-hmm.
who are incarcerated
Mm-hmm.
because they can't social distance
Mm-hmm.
like we
Mm-hmm.
can.
Mm-hmm.
And they're extremely vulnerable population because they don't leave primarily
Mm-hmm.
unless they, for medical reasons, so forth and so on.
Mm-hmm.
It's people bringing the virus into the community, specifically the ACI in this case. So high risk patients in the ACI, staff were vaccinated, as well as the state has paired with retail pharmacies, specifically Walgreens and CVS, to vaccinate residents in long term care
Oh,
facilities
good.
like nursing homes.
Got it. Awesome.
So that has already started. In regards to like other first responders, one infrastructure thing that the Rhode Island Department of Health and the state of Rhode Island has set up are these mobile vaccination clinics.
Mm-hmm.
So these clinics are going to be vaccinating first responders like EMTs, police
Mm-hmm.
officers,
Mm-hmm.
and that infrastructure will be most likely be used to vaccinate the rest of the state's population.
Got it.
Other things you probably heard of on the news is that Central Falls has already we're going to be vaccinating people in Central Falls because that was where the infection was hardest hit in our
Wow.
state. So
Wow.
we really want to try to protect that community.
Got it.
Okay. And the
Katrina.
other thing I know that someone's going to be thinking, excuse me, Pastor Jackson, is, oh, well, if that community was hardest hit, that means a lot of people had infection. So if a lot of people had infection, why do they need to be vaccinated? Because their body has natural immunity, right? So then if I've already been infected, I don't need to be vaccinated. So this is not true. The thing is, we are seeing reinfections after people have had COVID
Wow.
19. We
Wow.
don't know how protective natural infection is against recurrent infection. So, what does that mean? So, if you get COVID 19, you get sick, you recover. In that recovery process, your immune system creates antibodies that is supposed to protect you from getting the virus again or getting really sick from the virus. But we've seen that phase of creating these antibodies is very unpredictable. So you could have a little bit of protection, you can have a lot. We don't know. So people who have had the infection should get vaccinated.
Got it. You've had the vaccine. How do you feel?
I feel great. So I was fortunate enough to get the vaccine about 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, I had a lot of soreness at the injection site. It was initially, like, the injection itself felt fine. I was like fine, but it gradually became worse. And so for like a day and a half, had soreness in my arm.
Mm-hmm.
I also did experience headache and a little bit of fatigue 24 hours
Mm-hmm.
later,
Mm-hmm.
but that resolves, all of those symptoms resolves within 48
Oh,
hours. So
wonderful.
I feel good.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Katrina. My last question for you, and those of you, before I even get into my last question, because it's not a overly serious question, Katrina has a full YouTube page and a much longer and more comprehensive video. I really suggest everybody go watch, and I have a link below here, somewhere around here, down here in the black area. You guys are going to see a link that'll come up that has Katrina's YouTube page site that has a lot of information on this, on COVID, on the vaccine. I think it's so important to be educated on this and not lead with our assumptions. Too often, I think we're just, I heard too much of this comparison to the syphilis. I've heard too much of this comparison to AIDS. It's not. And so let's be educated on what we receive and jump into it. So with that, Katrina, I guess I'll just, for me, I like TikTok. I'm become addicted to it. I went viral on it, believe it or not.
Oh,
Like,
cool.
yeah, no, it wasn't.
Oh.
People are mean. People are mean on the internet. So my one of the things I've seen on TikTok is, if you took the subway, if you rode the city bus, you don't need the vaccine. If you drank red Kool-Aid at a church function, you'll be good with the vaccine. Things like that. I guess as funny as that is, why is it important? I know you mentioned earlier about this, but why is it so important for us to take this or to be mindful of this information as a group of just Black and brown people in America?
So there is a lot of mistrust with the healthcare system,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to Black and brown people, for legitimate reasons.
Mm-hmm.
However, a lot of times what I see in my practice is because of this mistrust, we don't trust what doctors are saying. We don't go to the doctor as often as we should. And then we're seeing worse health outcomes, worse
Mm-hmm.
disease.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, I really don't want that to happen. Because
Got it.
as you probably know, Black and Brown people are disproportionately affected by COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When you look at, and what does that mean? When you look at the number of people who have COVID-19 and compare that to the number of Black and Brown bodies, it's just overwhelmingly overrepresented.
Yeah.
So, what I stress is that please get very, very good information. Another resource is preventcovid.org as another website
Mm-hmm.
that you can kind of learn about these vaccines and learn good information. Follow them on Instagram, follow them on Twitter, follow them on Facebook because they're constantly putting out good content about this monoclonal antibodies, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of different topics when it comes to COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
My fear is that we become so mistrustful that we miss an opportunity to get vaccinated and or we have continued to have worse disease, higher numbers of infection because we just don't trust. And again, mistrust and uncertainty
Mm-hmm.
in the established healthcare system is warranted.
Mm-hmm.
It's legitimate. The
Mm-hmm.
trauma is real. Unfortunately, I feel that we still have a lot of work to do in regards to building trust.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to delegitimize anybody's discomfort or hesitancy.
Yeah.
However, this look, I just really don't want this opportunity to be missed by people.
Yeah.
It's really important. So, the larger question, why is it important to be vaccinated in general? So, people keep talking about this herd immunity. Okay.
Yeah.
Right now, millions of people have been infected with COVID-19 in this country. Thousands of people have died. If we wait for natural infection for us to, reach this okay, so let's back up. What is herd immunity? You want enough people to have the disease around you that's going to protect people who don't have a
Mm-hmm.
disease.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to vaccinations, you want as many people to be vaccinated around you, to the point where you're going to be able to protect people who either haven't gotten the vaccine or who are unable to get the vaccine for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to people say, oh, well, let's just let everybody get infected, right? If we do that, there gonna be thousands and thousands and thousands of deaths, and that
Right.
is not unnecessary.
Yeah.
That's why we want to try to get as many people vaccinated as possible so that we're able to protect people who are unable to get the vaccine or who just have so much mistrust in the medical system that they are unable to get the vaccine.
Got it. Got it.
So that is like really, 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 really important. And if anyone has any additional questions, please go to preventcovid.org. Please contact me personally on my social media handles if you could put that in.
Mm-hmm.
And another resource is the Rhode Island Department of Health coronavirus dashboard. They have a lot of information.
Wonderful.
And so
Wonderful. Katrina, thank you.
you're
And
welcome.
thank you for this information, you guys please be sure to follow up, to like, share, and subscribe these spaces. Let's be informed. Let's not let Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and
Yes.
Snapchat be our information. And that goes for not just this, that goes for everything. Make sure we're informed from sources. And Katrina is a wonderful source and has been really, really helpful even in what we do here at CSBC. So Katrina, thank you once again.
You're welcome.
You guys have a great day. See you. Let me stop.
And that's it for this week's episode of CSBC Life. We hope you have a blessed rest of your week, and we can't wait to see you in 2 weeks. Again, if you'd like to contribute, you can leave a comment on this video or email mbazil@congdonstreet.org. See you next time.